Hey everybody, we're about to go live on WMPR 90.1. Sit back, relax, and enjoy. Our co-host, Mr. Jason Clark, he's down on the coast today, so I appreciate everybody for always tuning in and helping us out. You ready, Henry? Yeah. Good evening, good evening, good evening, everyone. Welcome to Reviving Mississippi. I'm your host, DeKeither Stamps. Our co-host, Mr. Jason Clark, is out today, but we wish him well. He's down on the coast at the Mississippi Association of Supervisors Conference. As we begin every show, we always ask that you remember those people who are going through bereavement. Bereavement is a very trying time, very trying situation. We got some families out there who are really struggling. And I know in today's society where we're losing our interpersonal skills while we're texting and Facebooking, call folks, check on them, swing by the house, put your hand on their shoulder. You know, there's some things that have worked throughout history that can still work today, still needed, especially when folks are disconnected, not focused on each other, and focused on more social media and those kinds of things. Going by and checking on folks and calling folks personally just to say how you're doing and all that. During the time folks are going through bereavement and long after, because the loss of a mother, father, sister, brother, child, that never goes away. So make sure you check on folks, because you got to be a friend so you can have a friend during your time of need. I also recognize our sponsors for today's show. Sponsor for today's show is Mr. Micheal Jordan, Micheal Jordan Transportation Service. You can go to www.mjstransportation1.com for your transportation needs. Mr. Micheal Jordan always provides quality transportation services all over Mississippi. And he's always looking for good help. And if you want to get a ride somewhere, or if you're looking for an additional source of income, go to www.mjstransportation1.com for your transportation needs. Also, if you want some good food versus fast food, now keyword good food, come on, check out Stamp SuperBurgers over there where they always been, offering quality food and good service to everyone who comes in the door. Always fixable, love and touch. Now, they're not going to give you a discount because I told you that you should try them out, because they're in business, not in business, but in business. And they're a good business that has a good community partner, and we always appreciate Stamp SuperBurgers. I like that big super burger with the lemon pepper fries. Jason Clark likes that veggie burger, that whole garden between two pieces of bread, and he likes those sweet potato fries. Either way you go, whether you like a whole cow between two pieces of bread or a whole garden between two pieces of bread, it's all good and always going to turn out right to you. Also, we want to say thanks to the WMPR family for always providing us with the opportunity. And many of us don't realize how important having a community radio station is. The ability to talk to Mississippi, Louisiana, Tennessee, and Arkansas shouldn't be taken lightly or for granted, because across the country, there are very few people who can just walk into a radio station of 100,000 watts and be able to tell folks, hey, this is what's going on here. This is what's happening there. Make sure you reach out to Ms. Evans and the WMPR family, seeing how ways you can help and you can assist as well, because we don't want to be a situation where it used to be something. We want it to continue to be what it always has been, a good community resource to keep people informed so people can make good decisions. So again, reach out to WMPR. Our guest for today's show is Mr. Michael Thomas. He's with Systems Consultants and Associates. They're a wonderful company. Welcome to the show, Mr. Thomas.
Great to be here. Thank you.
So tell the folks a little bit about yourself personally. I know we've been friends for years. Tell the folks a little bit about yourself, and we'll talk about systems a little bit.
All right. So currently I'm president of Systems Companies. We have 3 manufacturing companies, and we have System Consultants Associates, our consultancy. Our most recent manufacturing operation is in Huntsville, Alabama. We opened that up in 2020, right in the midst of COVID. We opened up a plant. And then we have our plant up in Tupelo, Mississippi, that's been in place since 2011. And our flagship plant is Systems Electric Coating in Gluckstadt, Mississippi, and it's been in place since 2003. So we recently had our 20th year anniversary last year. And so I'm president here now. I was vice president at Jackson State for 5 years prior to this, over finance and operations. And before that, I was 16 years in the school system. And the last position I held was deputy superintendent for finance and operations.
You know, it's like I talked to you before the show, it's always good to see folks matriculate through the system and always continue to grow. And, you know, just like myself, I liken you into one of those brothers who put their hands on the plow and say, how can I take the skills I have and make my community better?
Well, one of the things that I encourage my kids and other young people that I run into is bloom where you plant it.
That's right.
You never know what you're being developed for, but normally you're being developed for the next opportunity. So that's what I found in my own career. Every job that I've had has been a job that led me to that next job in my career. So bloom where you plant it, work hard and learn deep.
That's right. Now, Systems is one of those companies that I think we take for granted.
Yes.
Could you kind of contextualize the capacity? Because a lot of folks right here in Jackson don't realize how much of a service Systems is and how big the company has grown.
So let me talk to you about that by kind of walking through the different companies. The consultancy was started in 1977. Bill Cooley, our founder, started a consultancy after he had been dean of the College of Business at Jackson State University. And he founded it to support African-American businesses so they'd be more successful. Well, that consultancy was available, and it did a lot of different things, a lot of different training opportunities, job corps centers, a lot of things. When Nissan came in 2001, or prior to 2001, they needed someone to create a tool that they would use to basically funnel African-American businesses through for opportunities for Nissan. And Dr. Cooley actually developed that tool. And in the course of supplying other African-American businesses to Nissan said, hey, would you all like to be a tier one to us too? And now think about it, we had done no manufacturing at that point. But we were given an opportunity to be tier one for doing electrocoating, which is corrosive proofing the metal parts for Nissan, primarily the truck frames, but also service parts and some production parts. So that really started us in manufacturing. And so that operation is a tier one to Nissan. It's one of the largest minority suppliers for Nissan.
In the world.
Well, I would say at least in this country for sure. Then that because of how well we did in that electrocoating operation, we were given an opportunity to be a tier one to Toyota up in Tupelo, Mississippi. So since 2011, our company basically assembles all the seats for every Toyota Corolla that's sold in the U.S. So if you're sitting in a Toyota Corolla that was built 2011 or afterwards, we made those seats. An African-American owned company made those seats. And because of how well we did in that operation, in somewhere around 2018, we were contacted by Toyota. They were getting ready to build a plant in Huntsville, Alabama. And they said, hey, we want you to do the seat assembly for the two vehicles that are coming out of our plant in Huntsville, Alabama. So that was a partnership between Toyota and Mazda. So now we're doing the seats for the Mazda CX-50 and the Toyota Corolla Cross, two CSUV vehicles. And so all the seats that are produced for those two vehicles, we're doing that too. We have 205 employees in Huntsville, Alabama, 143 employees in Tupelo, Mississippi, 83 employees in Bluckstadt, and then we have the employees that we put together for our consultancy. So it's a huge opportunity that we've been given. Dr. Cooley and his daughter Tony Cooley have been very generous as they started these companies. We have very good wages, very good benefits. And the goal is to employ as many people as we need to from our community. So when you look at our company reflects that we're a minority company. So we have a lot of team members, and because of the opportunity that we provide those team members make a quality life for their families. And we're excited about that.
You know, I love the display of excellence at Systems.
Thank you.
because while in label, some people may call it a minority company, I call it an excellent company,
Yeah.
period. Just an excellent company, period, which should be the goal of every company. Definitely what I see in the work product that Systems puts out.
Well, one of the things that we say is our reputation is the work that we put out. So we're not going to compromise on our reputation, and we're not going to compromise on the quality of product that we provide for our customers. So whatever we do, that's the standard. And so if we can't do that kind of job for you, we're not going to do the job. We're not going to take that opportunity. But any opportunity that we take, we're going to do excellent work with it.
Well, I am just overjoyed to just watch. I've been a Dr. Cooley protege, onlooker, from the military side, coming back home after you get out of the military and trying to figure out how can I take the things I've learned over the years and put them into action and produce fruit. And so I appreciate Dr. Cooley, his daughter, his whole family, just for first coming back to Mississippi, but then getting serious about, let me take my talents, skills, and abilities and not, and focus them on ways that are productive.
Well, I appreciate that same thing. Dr. Cooley had a lot of places that he could have worked. He had an opportunity to work on Wall Street. He chose to come back to Mississippi, provide service to Mississippi, and starting a consultancy to help Black businesses. Tony Cooley, his daughter, was working for Turner Broadcast in Atlanta when she came back to take on the reins of the company in 2000, somewhere around 2007 and 8. And she was instrumental in the plant that opened up in Tupelo, Mississippi. So she is actually the founder of that plant. So I think they've made a serious commitment to Mississippi and what they're doing, and they've made a serious commitment to those people that work in our facilities. We take care of our team members. When COVID hit, 2020, and the plants were shut down for a period of time, we continued to pay people as if they were working because of the commitment of Tony and her dad to those team members. So it's a good company. We provide great products, and it's given us more and more opportunities. So we're excited about it. We're looking forward to the next thing that we get ready to do too. Maybe if some of those energy people are listening, maybe we can do some of that infrastructure work they want to do for electrification along the 20 and 55.
I'm all for it. There's a program that y'all partner with Capital Readiness Program, and it's powered by the Minority Business Development Agency. Could you talk through this Bridging the Gap program as a premise, and then how we'll talk about how it rolls out?
So last year in September, and actually in October, we were awarded a grant through the Minority Business Development Agency out of DC. That grant is a capital readiness grant. The goals of the grant are to help disadvantaged businesses get access to capital. We wrote our proposal in a way that said we want to help African-American businesses get access to capital. Now, we're not going to turn anybody down if they come through the door and they need support. But our focus is going to be on African-American businesses because we recognize that one of the greatest challenges facing African-American business is access to capital. If you can't get access to capital, you can't do bridge loans, you can't pay your people while you're waiting on your contract to be paid. So there are there's a great need for a small business, an African-American business, to be able to walk into a financial institution and say, hey, I need to borrow some money, based on this contract that I have, or I have this great business idea and I need to get it funded. And so what we're going to do is provide technical support for those businesses so that they're more successful when they go into those financial institutions. So we're excited about that.
For years, I've sat on a board of the Central Mississippi Development Company and trying to get people access to capital. But to have a direct program like this, right. I haven't seen something direct. I've heard people talk about it, right. But I haven't seen something where there's direct technical assistance to basically power drive people.
And I think that's what I'm excited about too. When I was in the school system at the university and those places, Because of the organizations that we were, Jackson Public Schools, I think when I left there was somewhere around 98.8% African American. Jackson State, they had a 10% goal for non-traditional students, but we were at least 92% African American. When you start looking at how much money of their discretionary funds they were spending with African Americans, though, it was a low percentage. So I tasked our operations in both those places to increase our minority spend. So in JPS, we went from like 4% to 35% when I left there. Jackson State, we went from 2% to 21%. But those businesses that actually got opportunities with us, they also had to deal with other issues like cash flow problems. I tried to fix those problems a little bit when I was in the school system by, guaranteeing them that if they submitted an invoice on Thursday one week, they would get a check on the following week.
Really?
And kind of bypassing that 45-day rule that all the school districts and municipalities and counties really have, because I understood the challenge that those Black businesses have. But most organizations are not going to do what we did in JPS. And so if they get those contracts and they have to wait 45 days to get paid, they're going to need some kind of funding to get them through that gap period, because they may have workers that are working and need to get paid weekly.
That's right.
So how do they pay those workers when they haven't gotten paid themselves? They got to be able to walk into a financial institution. If they go into that financial institution and they charge them an excessive amount of interest rate, now that's gonna cut into whatever profit margin that they had. So you have too many of those kind of situations where they have to pay a whole lot for the money that they get. They end up not making any money and eventually going out of business. So the goal is to put them in a position where we look at the criteria that's being set, and our challenge is to help them overcome all those challenges, walk into that financial institution, get the loan at the amount that they want at a very competitive interest rate.
Now, you have a program coming up. Talk us a little bit about this program. I see folks I've worked with before, Senator John Horn, and talk about Mr. York's role and how this comes together.
Okay, so next Tuesday, June the 18th at 5:30 p.m. at the Smith Robinson Museum, we're going to have an information session, an information seminar. We're going to be talking about what we're going to be doing to support those businesses. At the same time, we're going to have a panel discussion between Mr. DeKeither, who is Economic Development Director for the City of Jackson. He's going to talk about opportunities that the City of Jackson has for African-American businesses and how they can support what we're trying to do. Senator Horn has been a champion for economic development in the legislature, and he's been a big advocate for African-American businesses. Matter of fact, one of the things I saw directly when I was with Jackson State University and meeting with the other colleges, there was a push from Senator Horn and some other African-American legislators to the commissioner to say, you need to have a conversation with your CFOs about increasing the amount of minority spend that the universities have with African-American businesses, because we're going to those universities too. So because we're there, we should be represented not just in the student population, but also in their vendor database. So John's going to talk about his experience with that and the challenges that African-American businesses face, which hopefully all the attendees for this seminar will be able to connect to. And then we have John York with Cullywood Capital. Cullywood is one of the funding agencies. They're one of the entities that are going to be providing cash to these entrepreneurs that we're going to be sending their way. And so what we do is we have a conversation with Cullywood and the other CDFIs or funding agencies, and then they will give us their criteria, basically those things that they're going to screen their applicants through. And our goal is to make sure that when we send someone to Cullywood or Hope or Renaissance, they will be successful in getting the loans that they need. And so John is going to talk about the funding streams that he has at Cullywood Capital. John York.
Okay. And how long will this program be in place?
So we have a grant for 4 years, and this grant is going to take us all over the state. We're setting up an entrepreneur center in West Jackson, right off of Robinson Road. And in that center, we're going to basically have a lot of different tools to help get these entrepreneurs where they need to be so that they'll be successful in getting these loans.
If someone wanted to look up more about this, would they go to the Systems Consultants website or?
Yes, they could go to www.sca-ms.com. And there's in addition to other things that we're doing through System Consultants Associates, there's a link to the work that we're doing on capital readiness. And they'll also find this QR code on that same link of advertising this event and allow individuals to use that QR code to RSVP that they're going to be present at that meeting. Now, if an individual doesn't get to the website, show up anyway. Come to Smith Robinson 5:30 on June 18th. We'll register you on site. But we want as many participants as possible. We want to help as many people as possible. And I've shared this in other places that I've spoken about this. Our success is going to be based on how many businesses we are able to get access to the capital that they need. So that I don't know many entities that are going to be structured in the same way where your success is how successful you make somebody else. A lot of times people get funding to do things and they continue to get that funding whether they're successful or not. Well, we're not going to keep getting funded unless we start having people get successful in getting those loans. So we like that.
Well, in the business of capital and funding, we really have to weed out some folks. And I'm going to say this just for me. I know you can't say this. If you're serious, participate.
Right.
If you are not serious, get serious and then participate.
Right.
Is that a good way to put that?
I think that's very well said. We have this conversation internally about what happens for African Americans when opportunities come. So if you look at opportunities as rain, and you look at those people able to take advantage of those opportunities as having buckets to catch the rain, a lot of times African Americans are in a situation where the rain comes and we don't have any buckets.
Right.
So what you're saying about if you're serious about putting your business in the best position possible so that you can get the best interest rate, because people have to understand too, banks are, I'll say it like this, banks are looking at you in the same way you might look at a relative that come to you and say, hey, can I borrow some money?
That's right.
If they borrow some money from you before and they haven't paid, more than likely, you're not going to loan them any money.
That's right.
If you know that they borrowed some money from somebody else and didn't pay, more than likely you're not going to loan your money. So banks are in the same situation. They're going to look at your credit. They're going to look at your credit history. If it looks like you haven't been paying other people, they're going to say, well, if they're not paying other people, they're less likely to pay me. So what we're going to do is we're going to work with those individuals, help them clean up their credit report, do what we can to help them get their credit score up. But in addition to that, we're going to help them build business plans if they don't have a business plan. We're going to help them have a marketing strategy if they don't have a marketing strategy, website presence if they don't have a website presence. We want to do all those things that help these businesses be in the best position possible when they get ready to go into that bank or financial institution.
First off, I appreciate the work of Systems, but this opportunity comes around at the right time because, it's always the right time to figure out the long-term financial structure of your business.
Yes.
And we have several businesses out there. And I want to let everybody know that the size of your business, is there a question? What size of business are you looking to assist?
We haven't limited the size or type of business. If you're an entrepreneur, if you have a business, if your business is properly registered, that's the other thing too. People, we have to understand there's a screening process that a bank is going to look through. If you're in the state of Mississippi and you have a bona fide business, that business need to be registered to the Secretary of State's office. So that's going to be one of the first things that we look at. Is your business registered through the Secretary of State's office? If it's not, then we need to get you registered. Are you filing your taxes separately for your business from your personal income? Are you keeping up with your finances separately from your personal income or your business? All those are things that we're going to be working through businesses with. But as far as are we going to turn down any business based on size? Probably not. because we're not going to turn you down if you're too small, as long as you've been in business for a period of time. Now, we also have a program for businesses, for entrepreneurs who are just getting started. And we're actually doing that through our nonprofit, the Center for Social Entrepreneurship. So they're hosting 10-week classes for those entrepreneurs that are just getting started. May have been in business for a year, just getting started, haven't really worked through a whole lot of challenges, but we're going to be teaching them through the process. So we've got classes on finance, how to keep up with the finances for your business, how to build a business plan, and we're going to have experts that will be reviewing their progress as they're doing these things. I'm going to be teaching a class on cash flow. One of the things that we have to understand too is that conversation that I had about, what happens when you get a contract and then you have workers, but your contract's not going to be paid until 45 days later after you've done work. Well, I want to talk to them about how to manage cash flow, how to get some funding for your business, make sure you don't spend it up all at one time when you know that you're going to have to pay your workers every week or whatever the cycle is. So we're going to have professionals who are in the business of doing what we're talking about, teaching them the right kinds of strategies to keep their business in a position where they're successful.
I appreciate opportunities like this because, ladies and gentlemen, if you are listening to us now and you have a small business, we have to evolve every side hustle into a business and evolve that small business into a bigger business. That's one of the biggest gaps that I see in our space is taking small, I don't know folks with 2 and 3 side hustles, but at some point that has to become a business and then you start to grow it and build it because this idea of systems, it started as a thought. And then it evolved, and now it's doing business in multiple states with global companies. All probably from Dr. Cooley's kitchen table. At some point.
Essentially.
Right. Now he's in his mid-90s now. So we're talking years ago. So that means that we're at the point where he was when he started his company. So now, if you have the vision and the motivation is to do something great and see something big like a systems, well, he was just where you are at some point. Did the thing we all long to do is incorporate our children in the business. He successfully done that. So this opportunity is not just an opportunity for you to seek funding. You are being around people who have taken an idea and turned it into a business that works with global companies.
So when you think about it, I'm glad you mentioned that about succession planning too. So Dr. Cooley starts the consultancy, starts the initial manufacturing operation, decides at a certain point that he's gonna move out of the business, brings his daughter back. Now her experience with Turner Broadcasting is coupled with his experience now with not just the consultancy, but manufacturing also. She takes on the reins of the business, and the next thing you know, they have another plant that's doing the seats for the Corolla. So we want to talk about that too, that the business should be one of those things that you structure in such a way that it takes care of your family for years to come. So you have to have some conversation about succession planning too. Who's going to be next? How are you developing people inside the organization to take the reins of the organization? That's a big important piece too. We do a lot of that in the systems.
Just being around people who have done it gives you more propensity to do it.
Absolutely.
I found in life, first you got to show up and be prepared, of course. But being in the room with people and having conversations at a higher level than just the front porch or your local watering hole, being around people who have overcome the same challenges, it gives you more of a propensity to you in overcoming those same challenges.
Absolutely. So we're doing a lot of work toward developing, and we're trying to be those folk who, as other folk who may not have had the exposure that we've had come in contact with us, they learn something. They learn something that they didn't know before, and it helps them go to the next level. So I think there's something to be said, throughout our community for people who have a vast amount of experience to be able to share that information with people that are coming behind, so that we can keep this legacy of entrepreneurship going. Because I'll just say this.
Let me catch this call.
Go ahead.
Hello, caller. Welcome to the show. What's your question or comment?
Great evening, guys. How y'all doing? Listen, enjoying the show. I'm trying to get that website. Is it Systems, SYSTEMS?
No, the website is sca-ms.com.
SBA? MS?
No, System Consultant Associate, SCA-ms.com.
Okay, SCA-MS.com.
Yeah,
Okay.
CS in car.
Gotcha.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Okay.
Sorry about that. I got to type better online. So I see I got to put that in there correctly. SCA.ms.com.
Yeah.
Okay. And again, for those of you just tuning in, we're here with Systems Consultants Associates, and we're talking about Bridging the Gap program, and they partner with the Capital Readiness program, which is powered by the Minority Business Development Agency. And they're talking about access to capital and giving small businesses and entrepreneurs access to capital. And when you can be in the room with folks who can talk you through these things, then you can stop being hand to mouth and grow your business to the next level. And a lot of our businesses are just babies.
All right.
But if you don't have access to capital, that means you got to eat the baby to grow. Let the baby grow up. Right. Having access to capital gives you an opportunity to let your idea, let your talent, let it grow up. And then you can eat the fruits once the tree is able to bear fruits.
So we talk a lot too about information, how information is powerful. A lot of times you might go into those financial institutions and you get turned down for a loan. Well, it looks like somebody's being unfair to you. But a lot of times that unfairness is not based on any kind of real unfairness. You just didn't put yourself in the best position for it. So our goal is to eliminate all those excuses. So I always say that if you want to challenge someone on whether or not they're going to be fair to you, eliminate all the things that would give them reason to be unfair. So if I go into that and I have a really tight business plan that's been reviewed by a professional, I should be a little bit better prepared.
That's right.
If my credit score is at a certain level and I've cleaned up all that negative stuff that's on my credit report, I should be a little bit better prepared. If I have a financial statement that I'm able to show the bank that I've made some money in the past and I'm positioned to make money in the future, I'm going to be a little bit more prepared. It's going to be a whole lot harder for anybody to turn you down. It's going to be a whole lot harder for them to say that they're not going to loan you the amount that you want to get. And it's going to be very difficult for them to give you an interest rate that's not competitive. So I think that's really what I'm excited about. I want to put us in a position where we walk in knowing, we're not on the back end wondering whether or not we're ready and whether or not we've met the goals before we got there.
As educated as you can be is critical. Many folks don't know that I've sat on the Central Mississippi Development Company board for years, and we've approved loans for big businesses and small businesses. And when I look through these loan documents, you can see patterns of the ones that are successful. It's that they have been serious. They've put their applications together seriously. They've taken time to think it through and prepare themselves. And that's what I hear from you, is getting folks to know what serious looks like.
Right.
That's what I'm encouraged about.
I think you're absolutely right. If you're starting a business, you need to get serious. People can lose their shirts if they don't do this thing right, and nobody wants to do that. So be serious, be professional, get as much information as possible. That's what we're going to be helping these businesses with. Our job is to provide technical support to help you get access to capital. I mean, so you have an advocate in your corner, and this is all we're going to be doing every day, every hour, every day. So yeah, this is a good time to get serious.
So again, give the time, date, location of this activity, so folks who may have just tuned in about this program here coming up.
So we have a seminar coming up. It's going to be next week, Tuesday, June 18th at Smith Robinson Museum at 5:30. Don't worry about grabbing some food while you're out. We're going to have food for you at the event. So come on out. We're going to have information available to you of what we're going to do, but we're also going to have some excellent speakers and Jai Keaton, Senator John Horn, and Mr. John York with Colorwood Capital. So come on out.
You know, I got to say this. When I say folks have to be serious, show up. You got enough time between now and Tuesday to show up looking like business, prepared to do business, because the room will be filled with people who are here to support business. When you show up on time, prepared, you got your slacks and your collared shirt on. It's kind of hot outside. I normally tell folks that you go into a bank, you gotta have a suit and tie on. You know, that's just.
You need to look like
I'm old school like that. You know, no matter how hot or cold it is, you know, put your jacket on when you get out of the car. You know, but you need to be prepared and serious, because the first impressions are your lasting impressions, especially when you're having serious business conversations with folks who are at the table to do real business. And again, I appreciate Senator Horn. Senator Horn's been a great friend over the years. His father's a great mentor, and he is as well. But programs like this, access to capital, bridging the gap, is greatly needed throughout all the whole community. And even you looking at your work, Michael, you know, over the years, I look at people at their life.
Right.
And you put together a body of work and matriculate through the process and show folks right here, you know, that you can really take your talents and blossom where you plant.
Well, one of the stories that I try to share is when I started doing the work in Jackson Public Schools to increase minority spend, I really was doing it because we were, you know, a high percentage African American district. It just made sense. I didn't necessarily connect to all the benefits that would accrue, right? So there was a business leader in the community. His name was Nolan Tate, African American business owner, had been in the community for a long time, a good friend of mine. We were able to, you know, put him in charge of some of the work that we were doing in the school system at the time. I think we were building some schools, and he furnished either one school or a couple of schools. Well, he did that. Go ahead. Now I'll finish the story.
Let's see if he gonna answer it. Hold on, let's see if we get this caller in through here. One second. Hello, caller. Welcome to the show. What's your question or comment?
Man, I'll tell you, I don't know how many people listening, but the whole entire world needs to be listening to the two gentlemen that's on right now. How you doing, Mr. Stamps?
Hey, how you doing, sir?
Doing well. Hey, Mike, how you doing?
Doing great. That voice sounds familiar.
Yeah, you know who it is.
Don't tell everybody who it is, Mike. They won't know. Keith, I want to tell you, it was great having you to invite Mike on. Let's have Mike on again. I'm asking you to do that. And Mike, I'm asking you to come again and be on as well and agree to come on, because you have very intelligent conversations that people can very well understand very easily. And I want to thank you, DeKeither, for having Mike on. And Mike, thank you for coming and enlightening all of us in regards to your conversation. And thank you, Mike. And I'm going to show up, Mike, on Tuesday, just simply because to show you that I appreciate you being on DeKeither's show today.
Thank you, sir. We appreciate that.
Appreciate
Bring somebody with you.
I will.
Okay.
All right, Mike. I'll see you, DeKeither.
Yes, sir.
Take care.
You know, it's always good folks to chime in, but this is, don't think too big. Think regular and basic now. We want to take a lawn service from having one truck to 3.
There you go.
That's the goal in my mind.
Right.
You know, we want to take a daycare center from 1 location to 2. And sometimes we get a little more grandiose,
Right.
but you got to make that first step. Because a lot of folks have made that first step. You got to make that next first step, that step to go from okay to good. Because that we get the first base, and some folks in business end up just staying at first base your whole life.
Right.
Well, you want to go to the next step, the second base, then the third base, and come around home. You know, you want to bring it all full circle. Don't just get comfortable because you may have a small car lot with a dozen cars or half a dozen cars.
Absolutely.
You can move up. You know, even folks in the music business. You know, you have a business. You are if you're an artist and you form yourself as a business, you have a product. People purchase your product. They pay you money. If you structure your business right, then you can turn around and articulate your business on paper, no matter what type of business it is. You can sit down and say, well, there are this many blues shows within 500 miles of Jackson, Mississippi. Okay, I'm a DJ. I'm an artist. I can put on paper my business. All of these things are businesses, you know, and access to capital is a key component. Tell a few more stories that you heard over
So
here.
just kind of finishing that story. So Mr. Tate was given an opportunity in the school system. He had been in business, I know, for years, probably 40 years. He's very established. Well, I left the school system a few years later. He came and visited me at the university. I was doing the same kind of program at the university. But when he met with me, he said, Michael, I just came over here to thank you for that opportunity. He said, what you don't know is that opportunity changed my life.
Wow.
And I said, how is that, Mr. Tate? Because you've been in business all these years. You look like you've done a pretty good job. He said, Michael, you just don't understand. And that's one of the things I want to share with some of these organizations, like the city of Jackson, like the school district, like the county. They have an opportunity to do business with some of these these entrepreneurs and these business owners that we're going to be working with. They need to do business with them because we're trying to change the lives of people in our community too. If you look on the left side of I-55, just about every municipality, county government, school district is African-American controlled. Well, in that kind of environment, there is no reason that all those entities shouldn't be working aggressively to increase the amount of money that they spend with African Americans. We're part of the community. We're a part of those school systems, probably a higher percentage than the majority. You ought to see us represented also in how they spend money. So part of what I'm excited about too is the opportunity to challenge those organizations. So I'm planning on arranging my schedule in such a way that I can have a visit to the city council and encourage the city to do more business with African Americans. They may be doing great. Is it something that you're meeting with on a monthly basis and looking at a target, seeing how much you currently spend with African Americans, seeing what you can do legally to increase that spend? And because of my background too, I'm a former state auditor, or an auditor for the state of Mississippi. I don't know if I was running an organization, but I was an auditor for the state of Mississippi. So I learned a lot about the state laws and what you can do in purchasing, what you can't do in purchasing. And so up to a certain dollar amount, you can purchase from anybody that you want to purchase from. Beyond that amount, and I can't remember the exact figures right now.
Yeah, $50,000.
Right. Once you get to that certain figure, then you can get 2 quotes. And those 2 quotes can be from African-American businesses. So there's a lot of discretion that we have if we would take advantage of it. A lot of times, it's not something that we're required to do in those positions that we hold. So a lot of times, those organizations don't do it. So I want to challenge them. African-American businesses need organizations like the city, the county, the schools to do business with them because they are part of the community. And they deserve the opportunity.
We got about 10 minutes left to go on the show. Give us another story of success stories out of the Dr. Coolidge tree. Because he has so many. Just pick a few of them and just tell folks that they may not know who are part of the Dr. Coolidge tree.
Well, one of the things I'll tell you is inside our organization, we're all about developing people. So one of the great stories, and I actually shared this with the gentleman recently, We have a African American manager in our Huntsville plant.
Mhm.
He started off as a temp. He came into the organization somewhere around. He was working out of Tupelo, Mississippi. So he came into the organization somewhere around 2011, 2012 as a temp. He worked his way through the organization, getting temp pay, roughly at that time, probably $10, $12 an hour. Now we start you off at about $20 an hour.
Mhm.
Well, he worked his way up, got the first hourly manager position. He probably moved from making $30,000 to $40,000. He got the first salary position. He went from making $40,000 to $60,000. He is now assistant plant manager over in our plant over in Huntsville, Alabama, making a lot more than $60,000. So I tell him that he is a model of what's possible in the organization. You can start at the very lowest rung of the organization and you can build yourself if you're willing to work and learn. Like I said, work hard and learn deep. Then you can work your way up. And right now, he's positioned himself that if we get another plant, he's going to be considered for a plant manager position if he wants it. So
Now we're talking about 2008, 7, 8. We're talking, just a handful of years.
Yes.
You've gone from a temp worker to assistant plant manager, now in conversation of being a plant manager. And when you're a plant manager, talk about the level of responsibility in that role.
Well, so at our plant over in Huntsville, Alabama, where he's assistant plant manager, we have 205 team members. We got 2 shifts. We got 2 assembly lines. We're assembling seats for a Toyota Corolla Cross, and on another assembly line, we're assembling seats for a Mazda CX-50. So there's a lot of machinery in that organization. There's a lot of manpower in that organization. You have responsibility not just to make sure people are getting to work, but you have responsibilities to develop them. Because we say in the systems organization that there's a heavy indictment on us that if a position comes open at a high level in the organization and nobody in the organization can apply for that position.
That means you're not developing people.
That's exactly right. We haven't done the job that we're supposed to do. So the pride for us is that I would say somewhere in the neighborhood of 96% of the time, when those opportunities come up, we have people inside the organization that are ready for those opportunities. And so we're big on developing people. And that's to us, that's the greatest story. When you can see young people and we have diversity, we track everything. We even track diversity. We're a minority company, so we're tracking diversity. We don't want to just be an African-American owned company. We don't want to do what other companies have done. We want to show diversity, not just in race. We want to show diversity in gender. We want to show diversity in age. We want to show diversity in nationality. We want to show that our company is open to all and willing to develop you too and provide the best the product for our customer.
Well, it's always good to have good talent and develop great talent.
Yes.
And so any parting words you would have for folks?
No, I want to thank you for allowing me to come on your program. I encourage as many entrepreneurs as possible who are looking to get capital in the next few months or year. Come in, sign up for our services, listen to the speakers that we have on next Tuesday, and we're excited about working with all these entrepreneurs and helping them get access to capital. Our theme is bridging the gap, building communities by making sure that everybody is in the best position possible to get capital. So,
I know we talked about Black businesses a lot. This is open to all businesses.
yes.
Right. So I know we talked about, I just want to make sure I got
Well, I emphasize Black businesses because we have challenges that some of these other entities don't have. Right. It's harder for us to get in the door. In some cases, we're harder on ourselves, on our own people, than other people are on us. Sometimes there's a perception that African Americans can't provide quality goods or services. I will tell you through the 3 organizations that I've worked with before where I've done this, or the 2 organizations that I worked with before and the organization I'm in, I probably only had 1 or 2 occasions where I've had to cancel a contract because of lack of performance. And that's a very small percentage of all the minority companies that I work with. And I would say that if you look very closely at your majority companies that you have out there, there are probably reasons that you should cancel business with them greater than canceling business with those African-American businesses. We can do business just as good as anybody else. It's been proven over and over again, and we want to help our businesses get in a position where they can do that. So we're excited about it.
So, ladies and gentlemen, you've heard it right here. Systems Consultants and Associates Office. You can call 769-297-7729. Put that number back on the screen. It's 769-297-7729. And if you want to go to the website, that website is www.sca-ms.com. Again, www.sca-ms.com. Well, we appreciate Michael for coming over. You've always been a good sounding board, but more importantly, you've been a great example.
Thank you, sir.
As a man, as a father, as a business owner, and as someone who's helped to play a role in scaling the vision. Because, visionaries have it rough because they need implementers to implement. You're going to walk around having these visions. Somebody got to go do it.
Right.
And so you've been a part of taking Dr. Cooley's vision. Of course, he worked, of course, but it takes you and other folks to fall in and say, you know what? I got a talent, I got a skill, I got an ability, I got a desire to help move that forward. So I just appreciate Dr. Cooley and his vision, and also the hard work of the whole team over the systems, over generations, to help move our state forward.
Absolutely.
Because it's not just about moving the business forward. This is how you move Mississippi forward. And this is how you move Mississippi's economy forward, by pushing businesses to grow and putting a stable framework in place for them to do so. So again, thanks for coming.
Thank you, sir.
We appreciate you for your time. Ladies and gentlemen, we appreciate you. I had a boring topic to talk about. I was going to talk about, lights and all those things. But we're gonna dive back into that next week. We felt that this was a important topic, and we couldn't let the opportunity go by without flushing it all the way out. Again, you can go right to the website to get all the information you need, but also next Tuesday, June 18th, 2024, at the Smith Robertson Museum, which is 528 Bloom Street, Jackson, Mississippi, from 5:30 to 7. They will have some refreshments there. They might not, feed you like a reception, but they're gonna have refreshments there. So, but more importantly, come prepared. Go online, type up your stuff, get yourself together, and get yourself as presentable as you can. And then you'll have something better for them to help mold you into a better position. So give it your best shot over the course of over the weekend. Putting your stuff on paper, putting your ideas on paper, flush it out. There's some websites you can go to look at sample business plans and, with your financial records and all those things. Come prepared, and then they will polish you at a higher level to make you marketable, to be able to access the capital you need to grow your business and to grow your legacy. So again, pay attention to that. I also want to thank all of our underwriters for today's show. Mr. Michael Jordan, the Michael Jordan Transportation Service. You can go to www.mjstransportation1.com for your transportation needs. Also, if you want some good food versus fast food, give them a check out over at SuperBurgers. You can get you a whole cow between 2 pieces of bread, add you some of those lemon pepper fries in there, and you will be ready to rock and roll. And you have 2 meals in one. But as always, we always end our shows by saying, never let anybody put you in a position where you don't love your own folks. Because when you hate your own people, you're part of the very oppression we're trying to lift ourselves out of. I love you, Jackson. I love you, Mississippi. Handy, get us out of here.